Hey everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for our weekly track roundup, where I go over the tracks that I thought were, great and not so great that I heard over the past week. Let's do it. First, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor in this video, the good people over at SeatGeek. They are a wonderful app that makes ticket buying simple because they aggregate all of those ticket prices from the tickets that you're looking for from around the web. They have a very convenient color system, let you know whether you're getting a good deal or a bad deal on a ticket. Green is good, red is bad, and their in-app view from Seat lets you know where you are going to be sitting. Hit up the link down below, get the app, and use promo code DROP to get $20 off your first order. Cool. All right. Also want to shout out our Amazon and Turntable Lab associate links down there in the description box, especially that Turntable Lab one if you're looking to pick up some vinyl, treat yourself to a colorful pressing of a record we have covered on the main channel. Use that link because we get kickback from it. Supports the channel, supports the segment. All right, and also want to shout out Hot Dad, the dude Hot Dad. He has a new project out, The Chowder Man, which, believe me, is coming with a whole bunch of other multimedia to sort of explain the background and the origin of the Chowder Man. Just you wait. Hot Dad is essentially the internet weirdo's David Bowie at this point. Dude is reinventing himself, okay? He is embodying the Chowder Man on this new record also. From what I understand, there's an insane guitar solo from none other than Andrew W.K. on it. Give it a shot, give it a try. It is linked down below along with everything else that we're going to be talking about in this segment. So that's a shout out there. Shout out to the dude Hot Dad. All right, the worst tracks of the week, the tracks that I thought were the worst, the ones that kind of turned me off a little bit. Let's do it. Let's go. First off, LSD, Labyrinth, Sia, and Diplo are continuing their very lengthy collaboration. It seems like these guys have been dropping tracks here and there for quite a long time at this point. Their new record is finally coming out pretty soon. And I don't know, I've kind of had a range so far on these new tracks. There have been songs from this collaborative that I have really enjoyed. There have been others like this one that I think just serve as really bland, unimaginative millennial pop. Hopefully there is a lot less of that in the few tracks that I've heard of that so far from this collaborative, are overshadowed by the better moments on this record. Because when these three are on, I do think they actually come up with some pretty creative pop tunes. So actually kind of looking forward to the record that they're coming out with very soon. Thought it was actually going to drop at some point last year, but looks like 2019 is going to be the year for LSD. All right. Also, Iggy Azalea has a new track out titled Sally Walker. I already didn't care for this track all that much when it was the Cardi B song Money, because that's exactly what this track sounds like. It sounds exactly like the Cardi B song Money, but less entertaining with less personality. And look, I mean, even though I'm not that crazy about that Cardi B track, I will take that song over this blatant ripoff any day of the week. So yeah, this track is just basically a ripoff of a Cardi B's Money. All right, moving on from there, Grimes has come out with a new demo for the track Pretty Dark, and I'm not really into that demo. I mean, Grimes has come out with demo tracks before that I didn't really like, and maybe it was mostly because of the rough recording, but while I think the tune of this track is cute, the weird, nasally, obnoxious baby vocals that she provides on this track really did kind of get to me, and not in a good way. So hopefully whatever finished or more polished version there is of this song coming down the pipe in the future, it's better than what she served up here, and maybe features less baby singing. Moving on from there, Blackbear has a brand new track out, Swear to God. Liking that this guy isn't even really trying to feign the whole alternative R&B thing anymore, and is just like coming out with really bad pop music. So yeah, I don't even get why he continues to put up this front where like his art and what he's doing is like dark or edgy in any kind of way, because this weird string back ballad is just like painfully generic and cloying. Moving on from there, let's get into the tracks that I thought were kind of meh, not blowing me away, but hey, worth your attention, worth a shot, worth a mention. Let's get through these. Tierra has a brand new track out. Thought the vocals on it were a tad bit awkward, but Tierra is always putting out something that is pretty interesting on the weirdo spectrums. So looking forward to hearing more material from her always, and still generally pretty happy that she is getting a little bit more ambitious with her song lengths, and she is staying prolific and staying engaged. And can't wait for the new record. Can't wait for the new record when exactly that ever is coming out. Moving on from there, ScHoolboy Q, Numb Juice, brand new single, music video out. Did a full-length review of this track on the Fantano channel. I think the beat hits pretty hard. I think some of Q's lyrics are pretty grimy. I wish it had a bit more girth, a bit more length to it, that it had a bit more structure as a song, but it's got a nice, mean attitude, and I guess that is enough to have me intrigued about this new record. I'm definitely not worried that, is this going to be an angry and a grimy and a badass album? Most likely, but hopefully the oncoming tracks on this new album are a bit more ambitious than this one, even if this thing does, come off very mean and, like I said, has a nice attitude to it. Moving on from there, there's a brand new record coming out from the Preservation Hall Jazz Band. Believe it or not, they actually are dropping a record via Sub Pop Records, which is quite a nice surprise. And if you guys remember my review of their last album, I believe it was, they went into kind of a surprising Latin jazz direction on that record, and it would seem they're actually kind of maintaining that direction on this new album and taking it down to Cuba. Although in my assessment, I do think that this track, as far as the solos and the performance goes, it's a little mild, not too spicy, not too exciting or anything like that. Very much driving the speed limit, I guess I'll say, to describe the performance here. But still, as far as like some very sweet, tuneful, rich Latin jazz goes, it's pretty enjoyable. It's pretty enjoyable. All right, moving on from there, we actually have a brand new track from King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Fishing for Fishies. It's a very cute, weird ballad that honestly wasn't doing a whole lot for me. I thought that some parts of it were so weird and corny that I was a little turned off by it. Yeah, I don't know, man. Their recent output has surprised me, blown me away, but also made me cringe a little bit. So either way, I know they're going to be doing something freaky and unexpected on this new record, so I'm psyched. I'm sure there are a lot of people out here loving this song, though. Kirin O and Danger Mouse have a new record together. I have been saying it, new song out, Turn the Light. It is a pretty sweet, low-key ballad. The production and the vocals I found to be a little average and bland for the both of them, but it's still a pretty nice and sweet track. Jenny Lewis has a new track out, new record on the way. This one is a little shimmery, tear in your beer sadness, a vague kind of country aesthetic to it, but it doesn't go so far to the point where it's backwater or anything like that. It's like I said, very shimmery and sad and moody and nostalgic. Quite a bit of nostalgia coming out of the lyrics, which I like quite a bit. The performance is a little by the numbers and stiff, but it's still a decent ballad. Moving on from there, an artist who before today I wasn't really all that familiar with, Gavin Turek, has this new track out titled Elevator. And for a song that is so washed out in reverb, the songwriting detail is actually quite nice on this track. So if you do like your pop music to be very shimmery and sweet and a little cavernous, but have still like some decent vocals on it and a lot of thought put towards some of the melodies woven into it, give it a shot. Give it a shot. And Beast Coast, which encompasses all of those artists coming out of New York that you already know for working under this label as a very loose collective, your Flatbush Zombies and your Underachievers and your Pro Era and so on and so forth. They are now releasing music under the Beast Coast name. Left Hand is the name of this big introductory single, considering how many people are encompassed into this Beast Coast thing. Obviously, everybody is not on this one track, but it's still a kind of eerie nocturnal banger with some good flows and a mean banging beat. So if you do love, Flatbush Zombies and all those guys affiliated with the Beast Coast name and label, do be psyched for what they are going to be delivering very soon under this title. Moving on from there, we have a brand new track from Baroness, Borderlines, new video out. And yeah, I mean, I'm not super duper crazy about it, frankly. I feel like this track sounds like a somewhat neutered, a little more acoustic and spacious version of a track that could have landed on Purple. Honestly, it's really like another Purple song. It's melodic, it's triumphant, it's got a strong ballad quality to it, but I feel like the intensity and really, I don't know, I guess the more metal aspects of the band's sound has been toned down a little bit on this track. Not that I mind that entirely, because I do like that there are a lot of metal groups out there, groups affiliated with that genre that are kind of getting back to the basics of melody and songwriting, and maybe drifting away from the extremity a little bit, because I do think that only gets you so far. However, I do think that the band's shift this time around hasn't really brought that much in terms of like just a novel or a refreshing idea, as again, it sort of sounds like a track that could have slipped very cleanly into Purple, except with this slightly less heavy sound. And not that I mind more acoustic music or anything like that, but I don't think the production on this is all that great. You know, the guitars just sound kind of flat and lifeless, and yeah, it just feels like it's lacking some kind of color. So we'll leave it there, I guess. And let's get into the tracks that I thought were the best this week, the ones that resonated with me the most, wowed me the most. Want to give a shout out to this S.G. Lewis and Clairo track Throwaway, which is actually a pretty sweet blend of bedroom pop and alternative R&B. The vocals and the production are kind of bare, but it's got a really sweet tune to it. The ballad, the song at the core of it, is actually really solid, so enjoying it so far. Next, brand new track from legendary death metal outfit Possessed. You should be familiar with these guys if you watched my death metal starter pack, because I very much recommended their debut album in that starter pack, not only because it is an amazing death metal album, but these guys are a pretty key band when it comes to the most formative years of the death metal genre. So given that, even though this new song over here is very well written, it is throttling, it is blood pumping, the band still maintains their relatively old school sound, even with them having such a short discography and such a long gap of time in between each album in their discography. The sound that they bring to the table here, you know, it's like a lot of early death metal records, features some thrash elements coming out of the guitars. So there are other metal styles influencing very clearly what they're doing. They're not a tech death band. They're not, this kind of band that's like got sort of the crazy guttural, more new school death metal vocals or anything like that. Though the vocal performance on this track is incredible. Get into this track. You know, if you're unfamiliar with old school death metal and the usual generic death metal tropes kind of turn you off, you may want to give a listen to something like this instead. That throws it back a little bit further, and I guess has some more traditional and tried and true songwriting elements to it, as opposed to the main vein of extremity that has dominated a great deal of death metal for a long time. Moving on from there, we have this new track over here from a group that I'm just now becoming familiar with, Martyrdöd. Cashless Society is the name of this new track. And this is coming off of Southern Lord Records. And this as well has some pretty strong thrash elements running throughout it, and some incredibly ferocious lead vocals as well that I'm absolutely loving. There's definitely some elements of D-beat and hardcore punk and crust punk rolling throughout this thing, but given that it is Southern Lord, there is this really ominous, mountainous heaviness to it and dark atmosphere to it that is actually pretty great and refreshing for this style of loud rock. Moving on from there, we have a brand new collaborative track from Marissa Nadler and Stephen Brodsky, who, it's interesting, these two are crossing paths. Marissa Nadler, you may know her as a singer-songwriter that I've covered on the channel numerous times. Stephen is actually from the band Caved In and also Mutoid Man. And what they've come through with here is like a very dark, dreary ballad, like you would typically catch from Marissa Nadler with those ghostly vocals and everything, but it's all backed with these super heavy, roaring, chunky, and sometimes wailing guitar layers. Now, no crazy drums or anything like that. It's just kind of like matching Marissa's voice with these heavy, distorted, but also somewhat drony guitars too. So I guess it is titled Drone Flower, the name of this new project that they have coming on the way. For the Sun is the name of the particular track that they have delivered here. And I don't know, I guess just colored me entertained and intrigued. So looking forward to hearing what these two are going to be doing on this new record. Moving on from there, Kirin J. Callinan, Australian music titan, meme master, has a brand new song out, The Hole of the Moon. It is kind of a throwback 80s rock ballad with some great lyrics and vocal melodies. I absolutely love it. Looking forward to what this guy's going to be doing on the next record, absolutely. All right, moving on from there, Holly Herndon has come through with a brand new track as well. Shout out to her. Eternal is the name of this song, and it's actually a pretty hard-hitting and very percussive piece of art pop with some incredibly weird vocal manipulations running throughout it. There are some elements of it that I think are a bit Bjork-ish, but some of the weird production tricks and strange, freaky, again, I'll use the word manipulations that she pulls throughout this track definitely define her as an artist, all her own, which very much was her MO on her previous work, which was a lot more electronic, a lot glitchier. Nice to see her working in more of an art pop realm, I guess, and giving that a shot, and seeing some really good results with this new track over here. If I didn't already say it, Eternal, yeah, I did. So Eternal is the name of that cut. Moving on from there, Frankie Cosmos, a singer-songwriter who previously I've never been super crazy about, frankly, and that's not to say that I thought her previous stuff was bad. Really, it's always been maybe a tad bit underwhelming to me, and maybe leaning a bit too hard on this underachiever type of, bedroom indie pop, where I guess sort of like how underproduced or underwritten or under everything it is like a part of the appeal, which again, I sort of, get where that stuff is coming from. But as far as that style goes, a lot of her stuff has never really stood out to me all that much. But this new track over here, which is a pretty straightforward and stripped back piano ballad, definitely did hit me right in the feels. And I guess looking forward to this new record that she has coming out very soon. Maybe this is going to be the year where Frankie Cosmos gets a little ambitious, because even though her stuff in the past has been kind of lo-fi, this new track, despite how stripped back it was, it did sound pretty cleanly recorded. So, I guess we'll see. Looking forward again to seeing what she's going to be doing. Dancing is the name of this new track, and it's also linked to a kind of a B-side too. So give that a listen as well. It's also pretty good. All right, moving on from there, an experimental rap artist from Tokyo on Death Bomb Arc actually has a new record on the way that they have been hyping up. This new track, which I would love to point to your attention, in 20XX. The artist is named Dos Monos, or Monos. And it's actually got like a really crazy old school hip hop beat kind of to it. Like if you told me this was a RZA beat, but then some demented person sort of went in there and threw a bunch of weird, glitchy, sour sounds into it, then yeah, I guess I would probably have to believe you. It does kind of sound like an old Wu-Tang beat, but again, with some weird, freaky additions. And I do like the dude's flow and his delivery and his personality, even if there is a bit of a language barrier there. It's actually kind of strange, and I'm looking forward to hearing what this guy's going to be doing with this new record, because this little taste so far is really bold and it is really, really out there. Moving on from there, we have Arcade Fire, who have a cover of the song Baby Mine out now, which is obviously set to be on the Dumbo soundtrack. It's cute, it's sweet, it's fine. I like it. And also Anderson Paak. Anderson Paak, King James is the name of this new track. He has a new record on the way very soon, sort of rumored to be a shift in his style, more toward a soul sound. And I mean, if you're familiar with Anderson's past material, this doesn't sound really unlike much of that, but with better production this time around. I actually liken some of the beats on this thing to what he was doing with Knowledge on that collaborative he did with him a little while ago. Yes, Lord, I did a full-length review of this track on the Fantano channel. Check that out if you want. But in short, I like the song quite a bit. Production's great. Anderson vocals are great. The tune is there. Pretty much everything I would want in an Anderson Paak song is there. So definitely looking forward to hearing what he's going to be doing soon. And that has been the weekly track roundup, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Again, one more time, shout out to our sponsor in this video, SeatGeek. Link down below there in the description box. And make sure to check out all the tracks down below we have linked to you. And shout out one more time also to Hot Dad and his new Chowder Man record. All right, you guys are the best. I'll see you in the next one. Anthony Fantano, weekly track roundup, forever.